He's so happy to be here. This is my son Alex. He's in the 8th grade at the Amiga School in Cambridge, and he is the reason, he supports me in my fight for his future.
Yeah!
Alex is the reason that I joined Mothers Out Front. When he was 8 years old, he asked me if I thought the effects of climate change were going to be bad when he grew up. And I told him that I thought things were happening now, and it was actually going to be a lot worse if we didn't do something to stop it. So he looked at me and said, well, Mom, what are you going to do about it? So I was a busy mom, not an activist, but he was right. I had to do something because I wanted a future in which he and his brother could thrive. And that was going to take work. So I joined Mothers Out Front and got busy learning how to become an effective activist. Mothers Out Front is a social movement. We empower the voices of mothers in the fight for a livable climate for our children. I'm a perfect example of a mom who was not an activist, had never met with a public official, did not know her way around the halls of the State House, and had never addressed a large audience. Mothers Out Front gave me a voice, and the support, and the framework in which to become an effective activist in the fight to heal the climate.
That's right!
Proud. Mothers Out Front started here in Cambridge 6 years ago around a kitchen table and has grown to over 18,000 moms, grandmothers, aunts, uncles, and others with with teams in 9 states gearing up to join, in 9 states with teams in more states gearing up to join us. We care about what the future holds for our children. We are mobilizing all across the country so students like you can have a livable climate to thrive. To quote another student activist, Greta Thunberg, our house is on fire. Yeah. Mothers Out Front agrees, and we are heartened to see all your efforts in this cause, and we support you. On a local level, Mothers Out Front is pushing elected officials to move us away from fossil fuels, to find renewable sources of energy to power our homes and businesses, and to do it in a just and equitable way. Much more needs to be done, though. We are in a climate emergency.
That's right.
Yet we don't see our city or state officials behaving as if they really believe that we are. We hear a lot of green talk, but we don't see enough green action.
Yeah!
Alex and I were here 5 years ago for Harbor Heat Week. We were hopeful that the tide was turning and grand institutions of learning like Harvard would honor their commitment to future leaders of the world, divest from fossil fuels, and invest in renewable energy. We were hopeful that Harvard would show the world that it truly was a leader as an institution and that it actually cared about what the future held for its students.
So we thought.
I'm quoting from Fossil Free here, students have always led the way in movements of conscience like the civil rights, anti-apartheid, and anti-Vietnam movements. This fight is no different. Institutions of higher education are charged with preparing students for a lifetime of work and service. But if those institutions are invested in fossil fuel companies, then students' educations are being subsidized by investments that guarantee they won't have much of a planet on which to make use of their degrees. Colleges and universities rush to launch greening initiatives, sustainability offices, and environmental curricula. But it makes no sense to have a green campus and not a green portfolio. Fossil fuel divestment is a reasonable next step, and it's the right thing to do. We've made incredible strides since the start of the divestment movement in 2012. 1,045 institutions divested to the tune of $8.75 billion. Which is amazing, but it's not enough to stop the fossil fuel industry.
That's right.
Only 15% of those divestments were made by educational institutions. Harvard needs to join the ranks of the divestment movement with its enormous $40 billion endowment and actually get out in front and lead the way. We all have a role to play in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and moving away from fossil fuels. As a mother, I see the faces of my children and their friends on your faces, the faces of the future. You are putting yourselves on the line, and I appreciate it. Keep the pressure on. Mothers out front will help you. If we all work together, eventually, we will turn the tide.
And now for our second to last speech. Please welcome